Hi everyone, welcome to Garden Club Week 2. I've been having so much fun looking at your pictures on Padlet. Let's take a look and see how our garlic has grown. So these are the 3 cloves that we planted and all 3 came up. It took a little while, but they did come up and they've grown quite a bit in just 1 week. And while they were taking a long time to come up, I was watching my clove sprout. What part of the clove sprouted first? Did you see roots come out first? Those roots came out and then it took a long time for that sprout to finally pop out. So here that is. Not every single clove will sprout, especially the really small ones. So don't worry if not all of them sprouted. Or if yours haven't sprouted out of the ground yet, they might have a lot of roots down in there and they're just getting ready to sprout. Actually, can you see the bottom of this pot? These roots have actually come right out the bottom of the pot. And remember, this pot is biodegradable. So if we had wanted to plant this right in the ground and cover it completely with soil, this pot will decompose and turn back into soil and these roots will just keep growing. So that's pretty neat. So now we're going to still keep on misting our plant and keep it nice and moist. And you might find that it's dry enough that it needs a little bit of extra water, like this, because we need to keep it moist but not too wet. We'll watch it grow some more. Okay, today we're going to grow microgreens. And we have broccoli seeds here. So microgreens are little baby salad greens that we grow out of lots of different kinds of seeds. We've done radish before, and you can grow them out of sunflower seeds or pea seeds or beet seeds or lettuce seeds and all the different kinds of cabbage seeds, which include the broccoli and radish, and you could also do mustard. So we're going to do broccoli, and these grow really fast and they're just going to sprout, and then we're going to cut them for sprouts. They're super easy and fun to grow. So what's the first step? We have to fill our peat pot up with soil. So plants need soil for their nutrients and they need water, right? Water helps them get their nutrients because they're going to suck their nutrients up just like a straw through those roots. So we'll add a little water. We're going to stir that around, make sure we get it nice and moist but not too moist. You can also moisten your soil right in your soil bag. That might be easier. Okay, then we're going to pat this down just a little bit, sort of even it out and pat it down. And with microgreens, we plant a lot of seeds, not just 1 or 2. So we're going to take a pinch of our seeds and we're going to sprinkle them on here pretty thickly so you can see seeds everywhere. And sprinkle them all around so they're kind of covering the top and not quite touching each other, but maybe touching each other a little bit is okay. You don't have to use all the seeds in your bag because you can use those to do microgreens another time. So mine are going on about like that. Okay, now with microgreens, we don't cover the seeds with soil. So if we don't cover the top with soil, it's a little better because it keeps the sprouts a little bit cleaner. Now we're going to mist the top to make sure the seeds are nice and moist. We'll give them a really good misting. There we go. Let's do a garden tag. So we'll write microgreens or broccoli and the date. And we'll stick our tag right in. Now let's stick our pot on top of a cover or a saucer or a plate to catch the extra water. And we are going to take our other peat pot and cover our seeds. And this is to kind of create a little greenhouse that's going to keep them warm and moist and in darkness for the first 2 or 3 days. So we're going to keep them like this at the beginning. We'll put them in a warm spot in a sunny window, and for the first 2 or 3 days they don't need light because this is almost like they're under that soil cover that they would normally be. They'd normally have dirt on top of them. So we'll have them like this, and every day we're going to open it up And we're going to spray them some more, close it back up, and watch them. And as soon as you see tiny little green things happening in there, leave the cover on one more day so the plants can dig in a little and send those roots down and get a little stronger. And then we're going to take the cover off, because then the plants are going to need light to photosynthesize. So we'll put them in, make sure that the cover is off and they're in the sunny window, and we'll keep on spraying them. Once these plants start growing, we'll switch from the mister to watering them like this. That will keep their leaves from getting too humid with that mister. All right, so first 2 or 3 days, we leave the cover on. Then as soon as we see something green coming along, we leave the cover on one more day. Then we take the cover off, make sure they are in the sunny window, and start watering them with the regular water. All right, that's a lot. So these are going to be really fun to watch grow. While you're watching those microgreens sprout, you can check to see which part of the plant is coming up first. I wonder if it'll be just like the garlic or not. So we have one more fun thing that we're going to do, and that is making some compost tea. So find your jar, and we're going to go outside, and we're going to find some grass clippings or some fresh green plants or weeds that we can make some compost tea out of. And so what is compost tea? Compost tea is when we let some compost or some fresh green material soak in some water for a few days, and that lets its nutrients get out into the water, and then we can use the water as a homemade fertilizer to feed our plants. So before we go outside, let's go ahead and put a label onto our jar. That's so that nobody comes along and throws out our compost tea. And this is not the kind of tea that we drink. This is the kind of tea that we feed plants. Find your label, write compost tea on there, and the date. So grab your jar and your scissors, and let's go outside, and then we'll come back. Look at this, the garlic that we planted outside is actually sprouting a little bit. Can you see that? It was a warm week, so that would make a big difference. So now you can collect some grass clippings or some green, fresh plants that are weeds that nobody needs. You know, weeds are really just perfectly good plants that are just growing in a place that we don't want them to grow. So I have in this garden lots of plants that are growing in places I don't want them to grow. So I'm going to pick some and I'm going to put them in my jar. I've got a handful of plants here that are nice and fresh and green, and the greener the better for this. They'll have even more nutrients. So I'm going to put them in my jar. I'm just going to cut them into pieces that will help them decompose faster. And we can use grass or any kind of green, fresh plant. And we'll fill our jar almost to the top. And then we're going to go back inside and we'll put some water in it. The water is going to start to leach some of the nutrients out of the plants into the water. And also, we're going to have some helpful, beneficial, good microorganisms growing in here, and those are going to be decomposers. And those decomposers are going to live in the water, and they're going to start to decompose the plant and release some of those nutrients from the plant into the water. So let's go back inside. Okay, we're back inside. Now let's go ahead and add some water to our compost tea. Now it's full with water, and this is going to allow those microorganisms to start working in there and decomposing and giving those nutrients into the water. So we're going to loosely cover this. We're not going to screw the cover on. Loosely cover it, and every day we're going to take the cover off and give it a quick stir, and that's to get the air into the water, because those microorganisms that are decomposers in there need air to grow. We're only going to soak this compost tea for 2 or 3 days. I'll show you what we're going to do after 2 or 3 days. We're going to strain out the water, which is our homemade fertilizer to feed our plants. So we're going to strain that out. and you'll have to see what color yours is. Then we're going to add water to dilute it and make it less strong. So you're going to add just as much water as you have homemade compost tea. So if this container is halfway filled with compost tea, I'm going to fill the other half with plain water. Okay, and now I'm going to water my plants with it. So I'll put a teeny tiny bit on my garlic, just a little teeny bit on my garlic, and then I'll use the rest of this on my outdoor plants. Any plant that you can find outside that you would like to feed with your homemade compost tea. Okay, so I am so excited to see what you post on Padlet this week, and I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye.